We have the tech to get food delivered in 15 minutes, but we all have horror stories about buying tickets. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage. Get amazing tickets in just a few taps. Fees are included, so what you see is what you pay. And the Game Time guarantee means authentic tickets at the best price every time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to concerts, sports, comedy, and more with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.
In business, there's no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. When you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on. Because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else: your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS, official shipping sponsor of the NHL.
Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah. This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard. We're live in downtown Vegas. Circa Resort and Casino is your spot. I'll have a 3-hour program lined up today. Nick Whalen in 30 minutes. We'll examine the 2 conference finals that we have in the NBA, get his best bets, including some player props. Stanford Steve checking in an hour from right now. He was on site, PGA Championship over the weekend. His observations from there, betting takeaways moving forward, and NBA playoffs with him. And Dennis Bernstein, longtime friend of the show, on the NHL Game 7 that we have tonight, Western Conference Finals as well. And we're locked and loaded here today. We'll get to the Major League Baseball card, spend some time on the hockey and the NBA as well, Paulie. So it is set. Now, here at Circa, the best number that you can find, the cheapest number that you can find on Oklahoma City that I've noticed anywhere, minus 235 to win the series. And it did not go well for this team. Obviously, we'll break this all down in the regular season. Game 1 number tonight, Thunder 6.5 here, 221.5. I have that ticket on the Spurs at 18-1. Haven't really touched it yet. Haven't really gotten involved yet.
Oh, come on. What are you waiting for? You got to lock in a profit here.
I think the Spurs can win one of the first 2 games of the series.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
It didn't work out for you last time. You had the Lakers in this situation.
I know it.
And they got swept. These are great quotes in an article on ESPN.com. A assistant in the Western Conference. This is the finals. A West scout. This is the start of another Magic versus Bird. An Eastern Conference executive. This has a chance to go down as one of the best series of the past decade. And it's only the 7th time you got 62-plus wins against 62-plus wins. And this is what we wanted, and we got it. And we'll see if OKC can repeat or if it's Wemby's time. And the fascinating part about going 4-1 against them in the regular season is Wemby was on a minutes restriction coming off the bench and didn't really go off in any of those games. So that's the most impressive thing from that 4-1 stretch in the regular season.
Yeah, but how about this? They were also, you're right. He did not, it's not like Wemby was the reason why they had that pure domination in the regular season, seemingly anyway. But when he was on the court, they were plus 50 in 26 minutes in that. And then you can say, well, what about when SGA, and if you broke it down to when SGA and Wemby were on the court together at the same time, the Spurs were still plus 20 in 64 minutes. SGA won the MVP. He's awesome. SGA is phenomenal. He is not the best player in this series. That's Victor Wembanyama is the best player in the world. And that's tough for me to say with a guy like Nikola Jokic, obviously still running around as well. This guy, we've never seen anything like the guy before. And so what happens tonight when there isn't a minute restrictions, a list for him or that he's on overall, and he's going to go out there and play 38 minutes or 42 minutes if he doesn't go into foul trouble. Like, do the bigs have an answer here for Wembanyama? They did not in the regular season. Those numbers don't lie.
Mm-hmm. And an assistant coach in the Eastern Conference said SGA is very good, but he's not a cheat code. Victor's a cheat code. I'll agree with that, too. But it's also only the 3rd time that a team attempted the most corner threes against the team that allowed the most corner threes. And that's the Spurs, and OKC allowed it. And the previous 2 won. So if they're going to knock down threes and they're going to be efficient from three like they were against Minnesota, especially in Game 6, and also what they did in the regular season was they dared a lot of these guys to shoot from OKC, and they didn't make them. But they made them in the playoffs, and you also didn't have A.J. Mitchell go off. So he could be the surprise in this series, too.
Yeah, here's what, I mean, think about this for a second. Now, Jalen Williams is going to be activated and in this series for Oklahoma City. He's a phenomenal basketball player. They have not had that dude for a lot of this season, including the playoffs. And they haven't lost yet in the postseason. You have that, and also the aforementioned A.J. Mitchell, who was so good against the Lakers. He had a DNP in 3 of the games in the regular season. 3 of the 5. Big deal? I would say probably. Because if you go back and look, that kid had a really good season, like right out of the gates to begin the regular season, and it's only continued and it's only gotten better. You can now, like, that's where they have the cheat code overall, is that it could be a different guy. It could be one of 10 different guys any given night. Now, the Spurs are deep. They got 8 dudes that they can run out there as well, but nobody is as deep as Oklahoma City.
Well, they also had an easy time of it in the first 2 series as well. Now you're taking on the number 1 defense in the playoffs. That's the other thing. You're going to get a completely different team here than what you faced so far. So they did go 7 last year with Denver, and Murray was banged up, Porter was hurt, and Gordon was hurt. Maybe that's one thing that the Spurs can point at as well. But the way they played Friday against Minnesota, and how all those guys were knocking down shots and how aggressive they were getting to the basket, that's the team that can win the whole thing. But it's also important that you're talking about a team that only lost 18 games the whole season, but 4 of them were to one team. Right. Maybe it's just a bad matchup.
Could be.
Maybe they are the best team, but when they match up against the Spurs, they give them fits, and there's nothing they can do.
Yeah, maybe we're going to look back at this when the series is over with, or the NBA season, and it's like, it was pretty simple. Like, the Spurs have Victor Wembanyama, and nobody else does. I was also thinking about this earlier today, based on what you were saying about Oklahoma City going to 7 games with Denver last year. Where does this Spurs team rank? Not that it matters, but where do you think this Spurs team ranks compared to the path Oklahoma City had to go through last year in beating Denver in 7 games and then eventually beating Indiana in 7 games?
Spurs are much better.
Not even close, right?
Yeah. I had to go 7 with the Pacers, too, yeah.
But I will say...
Maybe they lose if Halliburton doesn't get hurt.
Sure. But the Thunder are also better than last year.
By how much? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's tough. But it's... To me, again, it comes down to Fox, and I said it for much of the Minnesota series. In one of the wins, he had 29 points. If that guy's aggressive and he's going to be wide open from 3, he's got to make him pay. Because I have all the confidence in the world in Johnson and Castle and even Harper. But it's Fox who's been inconsistent for much of these playoffs. In one game, he'll be 1 of 7 from 3. In another game, he'll be lights out, and you look up and he'll have like 26 points. So that's the guy that has to show up if they're going to win as well. But you nailed it, though. This is the scary thing, that if the guy was only playing 20 minutes and they were still blowing him out.
Yeah, killed him.
Yeah, and not doing much, now what's going to happen? You know, in this stat, I can't believe. When he has played, because you had the elbow in the Minnesota series, and then you had the concussion against Portland in Game 2. When he's played at least 15 minutes, they're 37-3 going back. That's ridiculous. So he is the cheat code for a reason. And you are correct. What it means for his props, and there's a lot of creative stuff up there we'll get to. But to be 37-3, your last 40 when a guy plays at least 15 minutes, maybe they are the best team and not OKC.
Yeah, and I look at their supporting cast overall, and you're right, when you were watching that series unfold against Minnesota, and by the way, that really wasn't even that competitive of a series. Like, they turned out to be clearly the best team there, and it should have been a 5-game series. That's neither here nor there. I'm watching, like, Castle go off in these games, and I'm like, he is probably their second best player. And then I watch Harper, and I'm like, wait a second here. Not only is Harper maybe their second best player at times, like how many guards can get to the rack with authority as easily as he can, like going back? Dwayne Wade comes to mind because he was absolutely on a mission, a man on a mission whenever you wanted to get to the rack as a smaller guard. and, well, not so small, but you know what I'm saying. Kyrie or Irving was such a good finisher, but he doesn't get to the rack the same way that Harper does. Like this kid, it feels like he can get to within 2 feet of the rim and have a shot anytime he wants to. It's incredible the way that he just bullies his body around in the opponent and his ball handling skills. What a pick that was in the draft for the Spurs. They just got everything, man. And you're right, Keldon Johnson. He did a great. He wrote a story in the Players Tribune. Did you see this at all?
No.
He said we had a lot of green flags on the team. Then I realized that there was one big red flag, and it was me, because Pop eventually asked him to go to the bench early on in his career, and he didn't get it. It didn't make any sense to him, and he finally fully embraced it. And like they know their roles. He's super happy being the guy that he can come in and score 15 points off the bench. And oh, by the way, win 6th Man of the Year as a result.
Yeah. He had 25 in one of the wins. And he had another big game in one of the wins, too, 25. That was 130 to 110. But you can point to they're undefeated, and they've been so impressive with sweeps. But the Lakers also helped them out. The Lakers were competitive in that series, and then there were silly turnovers that led to easy baskets. I don't think the Spurs are going to do that. But that's one thing that determined the outcome of the series and this game tonight as well. If they take care of the ball, they're going to be fine. But if they're sloppy and turn it over, no one makes you pay more than OKC. But that was a big problem in the Lakers series where the Lakers were just careless with the basketball. But they did do an excellent job limiting SGA until Game 4. And maybe the Spurs can look at that too. Pack the paint, double him, and leave these other guys wide open from 3 and see if they can knock down shots, which they couldn't do in the regular season.
How big do you think the overall three-point shooting in this series? It's going to sound like a dumb question in 2026, but I don't think it is between these two teams. A lot of games come down to, well, are they going to make 18 threes or are they going to make 7 threes? Mm-hmm. Like, how big is the three-point shooting in this series? I think both teams are fine not even taking a ton of threes in this series. Oklahoma City is kind of the unknown, and because they can have a game where they go out there and shoot 4 of 28 from 3.
I think the Spurs will take a lot of them, though. And if they shoot about 40%, I think they're going to win. There was no in between with them in the playoffs.
Does Wemby take a lot?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's a good price to have the most made threes in the series. That's not a bad price. Stuff that was up earlier today, as much as we don't want to see it, I think he's 5-1. I think he'll try to take, even if he takes 6-7 a game, maybe he can be the leader.
Some pretty amazing numbers when a team has this much rest going into a Game 1, and also we'll kick around some conference finals MVP numbers to consider. It's Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Let me get your attention real quick, podcast listeners. I've got something for you that almost feels too good to be true. First, credit where credit's due. If you're listening to this podcast, you're already leveling up your betting game. You're riding along with our best bets and top angles. And when there's a good game on, you're getting involved with a few props and alt markets as well. There's one more layer if you really want to step things up, and that's VSiN Pro. I've mentioned it before, but things are only getting better for our pro subscribers. We just rolled out our MLB prop projections, breaking down some of the best edges across strikeouts, hits, home runs, and more. And that's on top of everything else pro subscribers already get, including public betting splits, expert picks, and betting guides across the sports calendar. If you haven't tried it yet, stop sleeping on it. You can get your first month just $9.99 or save big with promo code POD26 on the annual subscription. Hit the link in the description and start cashing in with VSiN Pro. All right, back to the show.
We have the tech to get food delivered in 15 minutes, but we all have horror stories about buying tickets. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage. Get amazing tickets in just a few taps. Fees are included, so what you see is what you pay. And the Game Time guarantee means authentic tickets at the best price every time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to concerts, sports, comedy, and more with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Much more here now with player props and the series itself. We go out to the Progressive guest line. Nick Whalen joins the program now with RotoWire, and you can catch him along with Jeff Erickson Monday through Friday on a great show called Prop Points, 1 o'clock Eastern time here on VSiN. Nick, thanks for the time today. How are you?
I'm great, guys. I'm great. Kind of a letdown of a Game 7 last night, unfortunately, but I think we got probably the optimal series for the conference finals from an entertainment perspective.
Totally agree
with you.
And for this game tonight, anyway, the total has moved up 4 points at some spots, and Oklahoma City did open up like as low as 6 up to 6.5. Now, what do you think about Game 1 overall with the side of the total?
I like this as an underspot, guys. I guess I understand why that number continues to move up. I think you see San Antonio piling up points in Game 6 against Minnesota. OKC played so well offensively in that series against the Lakers. But I do think we see the pace probably slow down a little bit on the San Antonio side specifically. I mean, they've played 2 opponents so far in the postseason that were both top 10 pace teams in the NBA. I mean, Portland especially was playing at a lightning fast pace by the end of the season. Minnesota, another fast-paced team, and OKC, they could kind of chameleon their way into playing any style. They played 2 slower-paced teams so far in Phoenix and the LA Lakers, but I think we see that pace settle closer to the mid-90s. That's more where OKC, I think, would prefer it. And, of course, that would lead to, a little bit of a downturn scoring-wise for San Antonio. I just think both of these teams' strengths lie defensively, right? I mean, OKC is not going to be able to get to the rim like they were against DeAndre Ayton in the second round when you have Victor Wembanyama sitting there. The Minnesota defense, the numbers look pretty good, but I think as that series went along, we started to see some cracks, and obviously OKC is as consistent as it gets on that end. So for Game 1 specifically, I think we get maybe more of a feel-out spot, could see both teams struggling offensively, and if we want to glean from the regular season, 3 of those 5 matchups ended up going under this number. Only one of them really sailed over.
All good points. I also couldn't believe the lack of effort from Randall in Game 6 and Matador defense as well. That was embarrassing. So much has been made of the Wemby-Chet matchup. How do you see that going, and what do you think Chet's going to do in this series?
I think we have to fade Chet Holmgren at least for Game 1, guys. Now his points prop is getting into uncomfortable territory. I was able to grab an under 16.5 yesterday. It's now 15.5 across the board, at least from what I'm seeing. And even the 16.5 was minus 130 to the under. But I think there are a few factors working against Chet Holmgren. First, Jalen Williams is back in the lineup for OKC. And look, AJ Mitchell was basically the number 2 option in that Lakers series. But J. Will being back, he's clearly the number 2 guy behind SGA. So I think that takes a little bit of the offensive responsibility away from Chet Holmgren. We're still going to see plenty of AJ Mitchell in this series, but far more importantly, Chet Holmgren has not played well against the Spurs and against Victor Wembanyama. He was completely neutralized by San Antonio during the regular season. He played in 4 of the 5 matchups, scored 42 total points on 31 shots in those 4 games. So that's less than 8 shots per game. He did have 1 game in there where he was able to kind of bully his way to the line at 12 free throw attempts, but then next 2 games against San Antonio, 2 total free throw attempts. So we'll see if he's able to get out there, splash some threes. He's been a good 3-point shooter so far in the playoffs, but if that's not happening, I don't think we see a ton of scoring tonight from Chet Holmgren.
Okay. Tie that into what you want to do with Wemby as well. It's very easy to sit here and make the case to bet his blocks in every single game. Doesn't cash every single game. To go over anyway, and you're looking at that as an opposite play here as well, right? You want to go under?
Yeah, this is another thing when you look at that regular season sample, and I do want to caution, I know they played 5 times. I know these teams have been pretty consistent roster-wise throughout the season, but it has been a long time since they played. I think it was like January 4th was the last time, but look, it's all we have to draw from. Wembanyama played in all 5 games against OKC in the regular season, only had 6 total blocks in those 5 games. Now, he was on a soft minutes limit during that time. He did not play more than 28 minutes in any of those games, so that's something that we have to take into account. But even in the Minnesota series, when he had, 12 blocks in Game 1, he only cleared this number in 2 of 6 games. I think teams, as series go along, they come out and say, I think it was Jaden McDaniels, like, yeah, we're not going to back down. We're going to keep challenging him. Yeah, easier said than done. OKC is a team that is near the top of the league in the playoffs in terms of driving volume, but I just trust them to make the right decision a lot more than I do Portland, a lot more than I do Minnesota. I don't think they're going to give Wembanyama some of those easy block opportunities. So based on how the regular season went, I think OKC is too smart to challenge Victor Wembanyama when they don't have an advantage. I think you got to lean under on the 3.5 blocks, which I know is a very scary proposition.
Well, what do you think of this prop at Caesars? So you mentioned he was on a minutes restriction, but now we're going to see him play a lot more minutes. Will he score 20 points in every game as plus 325?
Ooh, I like the price on that. 20 points in every game. I'm trying to see, how he did. Yeah. I mean, it's tough because it feels like he's either had these incredible or these like kind of passive offensive nights.
Yeah.
Maybe in this series they're going to need Victor Wembanyama to be, a guy who takes 16 to 20 shots every single night. But the way the Spurs were able to live in round 1 and round 2, I mean, there are some nights when, he's going 6 of 11 from the field like he did against Minnesota in game 6. I don't mind that, though. I really don't mind that because even though OKC has the two bigs in Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein, like they're two very different matchups for Wembanyama, I still don't really like how either of those guys match up with him. Like Chet is the better defensive player, but he doesn't have the strength. He doesn't necessarily have even the Rudy Gobert height to kind of bang with Wembanyama down low. So at plus 325, I'd think about that.
I'm with you. How about series leaders? To lead the series in assists, Castle plus 280.
Yeah, this is really the only one that jumped out to me. I was trying to find something in these series markets, and when you have somebody like SGA and Wembanyama, it's like, okay, how do you bet anybody else for scoring or rebounding or things like that? But I did think Castle to lead in assists at plus 280. You can make a case for it. He's not far behind SGA in terms of just raw assist production in the playoffs. He did average almost a full assist more than Gilgeous-Alexander during the regular season. Now, I mentioned this on our show this afternoon. The caveat here is that if you look into the advanced numbers at NBA.com/stats, they will tell you that the Thunder are not converting the potential assists for SGA at the rate that you would expect, whereas San Antonio is converting for Castle at the rate you would expect or even higher. So maybe that changes in this series, but I thought at close to 3-1, that's something I would take a stab on.
Okay. Yeah. Ultimately, how do you think the series is going to play out? Which team do you like? How many games?
I really, really hope this is a 7-game series, guys. This would be one of the all-time game 7s. I think the best value for me is still OKC in 6 specifically. I saw that plus 450 at DraftKings. If you look at the most likely outcomes, if you will, just based on the odds, OKC in 7, OKC in 5 are the two most likely. This just feels like it would be crazy to me if this didn't go at least 6 games. I really believe in the Spurs and their ability to give OKC trouble. I wonder about the 3-point volume, the 3-point shooting for OKC as this series goes along. And look, the over 5.5 games is pretty heavily shaded to the over minus 160. I know OKC in 6 would mean they're winning in San Antonio to seal up the series. I don't think that's a big deal to me. I could totally see that happening. So that's the best value. And another one, guys, that I found at FanDuel I thought was interesting. OKC to be up 2-1 after 3 games plus 105.
All right.
Oh,
I like that too.
Okay.
Well, I think we have to be honest here. While it was a great story, the Pistons were going to lose to the Magic if they didn't choke or if Wagner didn't get hurt. So they had to go 7 with Toronto, and the Cavs also had to go 7 with Detroit. They made great adjustments. 4 different guys scored 20 points. Does that change your mind from maybe it's going to be a Knicks cakewalk to if that Cavs team shows up, maybe we get a competitive series?
Look, I think this will be a competitive series, guys. I do think the Knicks win it. Obviously, there's a huge rest advantage. Cavs are just going to keep going every other day to start this series. It just totally comes down to which version of Mobley and Jared Allen do we get. How many games, like Game 7 last night, do those guys play at that level in this series? If the answer is even 2, then I think the Cavs probably win those 2 games because Cleveland is such a different team when especially Jared Allen is playing at that level. I mean, Towns has been so good for the Knicks in these playoffs, but he's also faced the shell of Joel Embiid, and then Onyeka Okongwu is kind of the only real big man for the Atlanta Hawks. Like, this is the best big man duo by far that he will have faced. And look, if I'm the Knicks, I was rooting hard for Detroit last night. I would have much, much rather faced this Pistons team and just felt like, all right, all we have to do is limit Cade Cunningham and we're good. I know the Cavs are really shaky game to game. You worry about Harden. You worry about the big men showing up. There's just so much more talent on this Cavaliers team. I would be pretty surprised if the Knicks just continue cakewalking their way through this series. And I don't know if this is bad analysis, guys, but the Knicks are on an all-time heater right now, like one of the best 6-game stretches we have ever seen in the postseason. Part of me just has to think like a turnaround is coming. They can't keep playing at this insane level offensively.
No, I don't disagree. I really don't. I mean, at some point, a little regression has to set in. One would think. If not, we're talking about an all-time playoff team then.
Right. Yeah, if regression doesn't set in, then they're going to beat the Thunder in the final.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, I would agree with that. Nick, great spot as always, man. Thanks so much, and best of luck tonight and the rest of this week.
I appreciate it, guys. Talk to you later.
Great
Nick
job.
Whalen with RotoWire, and Monday through Friday here on VSiN with Prop Points at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. A lot of stuff there, man. He is emptying the chamber tonight for sure.
I cannot believe at DraftKings, OG is 35-1.
That's a bet.
Eastern Conference Finals MVP.
Cat's now 12-1.
Oh, that's crazy.
Win, lose next, and we'll touch on that Game 7 tonight in hockey. We'll tell you how totals have gone in this situation going back many years next.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Good to have you on board. Thanks for watching, as always, on YouTube TV, listening on Sirius XM Channel 158, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, or any of our great affiliates across the country. We'll hit more NHL. Dennis Bernstein coming up at the bottom of the hour. Today's Major League Baseball card with some bets in 15 minutes. And right now we go out to the Progressive guest line as Stanford Steve joins the program now. He was at the PGA Championship all weekend long and has it's a teal. It's a beautiful looking teal New York Mets hat on. How are you, pal?
Good. Colombian blue.
Colombian blue, okay.
A little different. Great day to wear it. There's nothing better than beating the Yankees and taking 2 out of 3. The problem is that might be the highlight of the season for the Mets, but we'll take it. We're in a good spot. Series coming up against the Nats.
You don't think that they have a Phillies-esque recovery in them for the season potentially?
Right now, I don't think they have the wherewithal to get that hot. But, you keep going, winning 2 or 3. That's a decent deal. I just wish they weren't wasting such good starting pitching. But it's a long season. They got out of the rudder. Hopefully they keep moving upward.
Well, you were at the PGA Championship all weekend, like I said. I thought it was an incredible event on television. I couldn't understand some of the complaining about it. So what? It doesn't have any water. I mean, the leaderboard was unbelievable from the jump, by the way. Thursday all the way through until Rye took off and won. What did you make watching it there live?
Guys, being new to this golf game, it's 6 years in and going to this event, since ESPN attained it, and being with Scott and being able to do some betcast stuff and walk with the golfers on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I was shocked at how different the course was. Because on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, guys were super confident. Be straight off the tee, and you could hit your driver a ton there and go in with, wedges and nines and set yourself up for good putts. But what they pin placements and then the wind was a serious fact. Really made these guys, have a lot of head scratching going on. I appreciated it because it put those guys on tilt. I just feel cheated when you're at an event like that, and Philly is such a good sports town. They got cheated a little bit because they're dying there, man. Like, they want to root. They want to yell. They're yelling, "Go Birds," the whole 9 yards. They want everything, and there just wasn't enough birdies. The way the course was set up, there just wasn't that chance for momentum to build birdies and eagles and stuff like that. But the fans were incredible. That was my first time there at Aronimink, and it's set up for a great event. And I got to give it to Rye, man. I mean, the way he put together shots in the back end and, walking the course on 16 when he sticks that, shot up there for the birdie and then the putt on 17 and then the nails with the drive on 18 to say, you know what, I'm winning this thing. I'm going right down the middle here and we're gonna go home and get this trophy. He earned it. And that's what a lot of people, the older heads I know, want in golf is these guys go out and earn it. Mm-hmm. And he did that. He made more shots and everybody had plenty. And over the course of 4 days, you got plenty of time to make shots and miss shots. And he stayed in the fight long enough and pulled the trigger. And I was really happy for him. Super humble dude.
Did you think it was pin placement? Why we didn't have a runaway? Because people were expecting 15, 16 under to win this thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of things for you. It's not as big of a ballpark as these other places are. And so when you have – that 8 green stacked next to the 10th green. Mm-hmm. I walked with, there was the feature groups on Thursday where the wind was really in things. It took a half hour for guys to tee off at 8. There was three threesomes up on the tee box at one point when I was up there. It was a combination of pin placements and the weather. the wind really, I mean, you just couldn't factor in when how many slopes there are, whether it's the fairway and how, the slopes and the greens. Guys were frustrated because the greens are enormous, but they couldn't get there. They really were affected with their angles, with the wind. And that's why I think you saw so many guys struggle, because there are different perceptions. And the par threes are all over 200 yards. The par fours are all over 450. So you got to be straight, and the wind definitely affected those guys.
No doubt. So now once Rye wins like that, the cat's out of the bag, and you're not going to get like any great value on him. I mean, he was 300-1 here at Circa over the weekend. By the way, they wrote 12 tickets. So they killed it with the event here, booking it. So anybody else that you watch up close and personal, and you're like, I'm going to circle this guy. He looks awesome. He's he's in a great mood right now. He's confident. I got to circle him for future events here that I want to bet on.
Yeah, the slow and forward progress has shown, guys. I really think he's got it. And Shinnecock's a place when I look at with his ball striking, his irons. He switched up putters, and it was a process. I mean, he spent a ton of time watching him practice on greens, like just getting a feel again. But everything else is working. He had a bad Sunday, but I thought he struck the ball really, really well. And, Shinnecock is going to be ball placement and putts. I think you're going to get good odds on there. I don't think, he's not going to be up there with the Rahms and the Justin Thomases and the Cam Youngs, but he's a guy that has proven it. He thrives in those kind of conditions. He's won there. I don't know how that'll affect his odds because he hasn't, really placed well, but he's a guy that has all the goods. He's fully healthy now, talking to him. He's in a great spot, and he loves being back on the tour. And, he doesn't give off a lot of excitement. It's not his style. He keeps a lot of stuff in, but he's there, man. He's on the right path, and he's a name that I've circled for Shinnecock for sure.
Okay.
Very good.
If you see Marty Smith, tell him great job. Can you believe Garrick Higgo, the guy who showed up late to his tee time and said, I was on time, but I was late, and it's hard to define 1 second?
Did we lose him?
He
was going to have a good answer there, too.
I know. He was laughing.
Yeah.
Damn. Of course, he missed the cut by one shot.
By one shot.
Oh, man.
Why would it? Of course, it's going to come down to that.
We need that guy to be in the mix in one of these tournaments.
I think so.
Now that we know him.
I hope that we get Stanford Steve back.
For all the wrong reasons.
There was also a terrific answer yesterday by Justin Thomas that we're going to play a little bit later in the show, because he was a leader in the clubhouse, but we had like 4 hours of golf left.
Yeah.
So he was asked, like, what do you do?
I thought he was in position.
So did I, the way it was playing.
Everyone was going to come back. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just like, so, like, we had 4 hours of golf left. I think it was at least 4 hours. And he just is like, I know what not to do. And he said that I was in this position one time many years ago, and I thought I was out of it. Never even gave it another thought. We're having lunch. I'm 5 beers deep, and like, oh, by the way, you might be in a playoff. Like, what?
Oh, wow, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember with one guy, was it the Shambo? He left the golf course, and he had to turn around.
That's right.
That was years ago. But that was, I mean, who would think that was going to happen? But everyone looked like 5 under was going to get in a playoff until Rye took off. And also the big names couldn't do anything.
I know.
You thought Rahm was going to win. Rahm was the favorite in play.
Rory, maybe.
Scheffler was favored for much of the tournament. Rory, you expected a run out of Rory? Because you knew the other guys were going to fall apart. But just like, who was the guy you were going to land on? It was right there for Cam Smith, too.
I know.
Just couldn't make one putt.
He's 5 under, Cam Smith is, and he's got the entire back nine to play. So he's within 1 stroke of the lead, and he has 9 holes of golf left. And that is when he started to go right off every single drive. So then he had to try to, like, regain, go up and down. And then the drives were so bad, recovering from that. And then he put himself in a bad position for, like, a long putt, and then he couldn't sink them. Just like, it's right there for this guy. So we needed Smith to do exactly what Rye did, had the wrong guy. But yeah, here at Circa, they closed 300-1, and they wrote 12 tickets on him. And then they put Jeff Benson tweeted out that they added some more. Bettors took some at plus 1850. I think that was after Saturday night, going into Sunday's round. But overall, good story. And I know people want to make fun of the 2 gloves and also the iron covers.
That's a great story.
It's a terrific story.
Yeah,
the guy, as Steve was referencing there, super humble. It goes back to his upbringing when his parents did not have a lot of money, but the one thing that his dad did was make sure that he spent money on a good set of clubs for him to go out there and play with. And his dad every single night would come out there and clean off the irons with a pin and baby oil. And it's just like, and then he would cover them up because he didn't want him to be dirty for him. And Aaron never forgot that. And he's like, this is who I am. You can make fun of it all you want. I'm never going to change. So that's pretty cool, actually. The two gloves looks a little goofy, but he's like, it's freezing in England. So when I was playing golf, I wore the two gloves to stay warm, and I got used to it. But
yeah, everyone says he's the nicest guy on the tour.
Sure.
That's good. Great job. And I also like how it played out more than the U.S. Open. I was stunned by what the winning score was, and it looked like 6-7 under was going to get there. We turn the page to the Byron Nelson. Scotty Scheffler is plus 150 to win the tournament.
Yeah, what do you think of that?
Oh, my God. That is outrageous. Oh.
So what's he top 10?
Minus 560.
To go top 10. Oh, man. I lost with him top 5 this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, he's human.
You're telling me that Scotty was tied for the first round lead.
Yeah.
I got plus 115 to go top 5. He can't do. I think we got Steve back. Where were we with Steve?
Higo.
Yeah. What do you think of Higo? We need more of him, don't we?
It's funny, guys. There's everybody's getting out of town yesterday, Josh, because they're at the airport. They're like, "Hey, we need a countdown clock for Higo's boarding." I guess he has a problem telling the time. Oh man, that was a fiasco. I couldn't believe. Hey, early Belichick, right? That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Coughlin.
That's it.
Yep.
5 minutes early. That's all you got to be.
Yep. Didn't have the watch. He said, I didn't my watch or my cell phone when I was practice putting. But then he does the interview with Marty Smith. He's got the watch on.
Yeah, sure. Steve, we're up against it. Thanks, man, for taking a couple of minutes today. We appreciate that.
Sorry about that. I had the phone on the dashboard and it melted. The phone got too hot.
No worries. It happens.
It's 100.
Yeah, it's 100 back on the East Coast. Today's Major League Baseball betting card is up next. You come at the king, you best not miss, and he doesn't very often. That's coming up next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
More on the hockey game tonight. Game 7 in Buffalo Sabres. $1.17 here at Circa. Total is 5.5. We go out to the Progressive guest line. Dennis Bernstein joins the program, longtime friend of the show. TheFourthPeriod.com, SiriusXM NHL, on X at Dennis TFP. What's up, Denny? How are you today?
It'll be better than Cleveland, Detroit. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, God, please. It's got to be better than last night.
Yeah.
So let's begin with the total in the game. 5.5.
Yep.
We're coming off of an 8-3 game, and every game but one has gone over 5.5. Is this number a little stinky to you?
No, I'm playing the under because it's game 7, Mitch. Things slow up. Things grind down. I think it's going to look like a game 7. Because game 6 didn't look like a game 6, to be honest with you. 8-3 was crazy, right? And you would think, oh, how could you play the under tonight? I can, because I just think things are going to be just so much more tighter. I think the best indication will be the first 10 minutes. If it's nothing after 10, then I'm feeling really good about playing the under. But yeah, I'm going under tonight because I think this is really going to be a more cautious game, a more set type of game 7 that you usually see in the NHL playoffs.
Yeah, I'll agree with that point. But if you get that chaos early, 4 of the first 6 games have seen someone score the first 2 minutes in. And it's also, that's been the crazy thing. And also the penalties and how we look up in every game 10 minutes in, it's 2-1.
Yeah, but I think the discipline has to come into play. I think both Marty St. Louis and Lindy Ruff, the one word they're probably using to both their teams is discipline. Like you can't take those penalties. Like Montreal could take those penalties and get out of control because they were up 3-2. Right, so the game was lost. They got out of control. They tried to rally from a deep deficit. They couldn't do it. Tonight, I just think it's different. I think that it's going to be drilled into these teams' heads. You can't take dumb penalties. You can't take high sticking calls. So we'll see if it works. The issue is, Paulie, is they're young teams.
Yeah.
who haven't been here before. And a lot of these players haven't played in the Game 7. So how much pressure? Who's going to – I know it's cliche. Who's going to seize the moment tonight? I think that's the thing. And I think that Buffalo will find a way at home to get through and face Carolina in the conference final.
I want you to expand on that in a second, but one more thing on the total.
Sure.
At what point will the goalies get yanked tonight if it's 2-1 in the third period?
No.
Not tonight.
You would have to have you'd have to have a replay of what Alex Lyon did in Game 6. Like, you get beat on bad goals. And I think that's the only way. If you get beat and they're good plays, fine. But I don't think you can do what they did in Game 6 where you're pulling both goalies. That was shocking. I don't think it's ever happened this deep in the playoffs where you had 4 goalies playing a game. So I don't think it's going to happen, Mitch. I don't think it's because, again, I think it's going to be a very different script than Game 6 between these two teams.
I think he meant how early does the goalie come out? Not bad performance.
Oh, to pull the goalie.
Yes.
Yes.
Now it's probably 4 minutes to go. Back in the day, it was the minute 30.
Yeah,
I know.
right, yeah.
One
I
face
hate
off the
this.
defensive zone.
I hate this. I
It's
think
just
they
more
get it wrong
aggressive right now.
Yeah.
Which if it's a 3-2 game, Mitch, and you're sitting with under 5.5, you're sweating it. I think it might be 3-1 though. So I think there'll be probably 4 minutes to go before you see the goalies getting pulled here in this game.
Okay, expand on why you think Buffalo wins tonight and why you think it's worth a bet.
I think home ice will finally show up. Although when you talk to the coaches and they ask why these teams play so well on the road, they don't have answers. So it's a lean towards Buffalo. This is a tight game. Like, could the Canadians win tonight? Yeah, they play more disciplined. If Dobish is better than UPL, who I assume is going to play in net, yeah, Montreal has a path to victory. I just like Buffalo because I think they can't be that bad at home for 2 rounds. I think this is the one game they focus in on. I think they're going to stay in a hotel. I think they stayed in a hotel last night to replicate the road, travels, which is kind of silly, to be honest with you, because they're 2 minutes from their houses. But I just like Buffalo on a slightly. I just think this is a close game tonight. I just lean towards the Sabres because I love the way that 7 goals in a row is really convincing, Mitch. Like, that doesn't happen in a Game 6. And I know that the Canadians are running all over the place, but the way they finished against especially a guy like Dahlin and Thompson, the way they showed up in Game 6, I'm leaning towards them tonight in Game 7.
How do they match up Thursday against Carolina then?
I don't know, because Carolina hasn't played in 2 months, Mitch? I mean, Paulie, they haven't played. So, Carolina's the better team. They could be the most dangerous team because you know what? They don't overpower teams, Paulie. They suffocate them. Like you saw and I get it. Ottawa and Philadelphia is not the level they're going to face against Buffalo or if they assume they get to a cup final. I understand that. But don't discredit them for dominating those 2 series. Those teams didn't have a sniff in 8 games. They earned 8-0. So Buffalo will have a shot because they're a better offensive team. But when you look the way that Carolina is playing with the rest that they have, Freddie Anderson's playing well, and I think he's the whole key, Paulie.
Yep.
I think the rest of the guys will produce. Freddie Anderson, he's been here before in a big spot, and he hasn't produced. So the 8 wins he deserves, but now that the last 8 are the harder ones, Paulie. But you have to favor the Hurricanes here because the 2 best teams remaining are the Hurricanes and the Avalanche.
Okay, Western Conference Finals tomorrow. Colorado 260. Why is Colorado you're picking, and how many games?
Best team, most depth, more healthy. I like Colorado in 6 in this series. I think it would be 7 if Mark Stone was healthy. Mark Stone isn't practicing. And for him to be missing, with all the star power on Colorado, I think that's it. But is Vegas live here? Can they have a shot to win? Absolutely, because I'm not sure about the goaltending now. They pulled out Wedgwood in Game 2. Blackwood went in, but he got routed. But I do like Colorado. I think they're the best team remaining in the tournament. I like their depth. They can score here. And they have the best player remaining in Nathan McKinnon. So for all those reasons, I like Colorado. Contentious series. It's not a walkover, but I do like the Avalanche. They're the healthier, better team right now. Can
anybody not named Nathan McKinnon eventually win the Conn Smythe if the Avalanche are your winners?
I don't see it, Mitch. I don't think there's enough. Somebody would have to have a huge 2 rounds here to bypass McKinnon. You think the guy would be Makar, but Makar's banged up in that last round. The week off will probably help him. I don't see it. I don't think anybody's going to go on a huge run for Colorado. Because if they do go and win the next 8 games and win a Stanley Cup, Mitch, you've got to think that McKinnon's involved. So I got to think that he's the one. I wouldn't put a ticket on anybody else at this point if you're playing a Colorado player for the Conn Smythe.
People who cover the league said they've never seen what happened after Game 6 in Anaheim. Vegas won, that you couldn't talk to the players and the dressing room was closed. What'd you think of the penalties? A second-round pick and a $100,000 fine to Tortorella.
Well, they had to catch a bus, Paulie. That was the problem. If the bus was leaving in 10 minutes. After they won, where were they going? Like, why did the bus have to leave in 10 minutes? Here's the thing. They weren't happy with the McNabb suspension. McNabb hit Paling, and it was a bad hit, and Paling got hurt, and that's probably why he got the one-game suspension. But they thought that it was early in the game when that happened. So they think, okay, him missing that game was enough. They thought it was punitive. It's not how you grow the game. And I know they're going to put it on Tortorella, but if you read the release by the league saying their availability has been in question throughout the entire season. This has happened more than once. And Torts was only there for the last 10 games of the season and the playoffs. This is an organizational thing. Look, I think what will happen is they'll sit down with the NHL, with Bettman and Daly. They'll be contrite. Maybe they pull back the second-round pick. That's a heavy fine, but you can't do that. And they won the game, Paulie. I mean, come on. Sore winners, really? Like, that's what you're going to do? That's your response because you won the game and won the series? I see if you lost, I could maybe make a case for it.
Yeah.
But it's unprecedented. They deserve that fine. But I think when push comes to shove, the league might back off a little bit because I'm sure Bill Foley will get involved and say, hey, that's a little bit too much. You know, Torts doesn't write that check. But that was unprecedented. It was a bad look for the team and for the league, to be honest with you. And they're trying to undo it by assessing those penalties.
I will say this. If you do think the Golden Knights are players against Colorado, I know the Stone injury is going to be huge. I totally agree with you. But if you think they can come out of this and win the whole thing, I would not bet them to win the Stanley Cup. I'd look at Marner and maybe Carter Hart, and that's it, to win the Conn Smythe. Much better numbers out there than the Golden Knights to win the whole thing.
Yeah. And if they win, Mitch, they're going to win grinding out games, right? So a play for Carter Hart is probably a good play because if they're going to win games, they're probably going to win 3-2.
Yeah, right.
Like
right.
3-2, 3-1. They're not going to win 7-4 games where Mitch will go off or Dorfiev is going to score more goals. He's got 9 goals. So if they play the game they have to play to beat the Avalanche, your goalie has to be really good. That's Carter Hart. And his numbers are already good, Mitch. So if he gets all the way through, it's not unprecedented because back in the day, Jonathan Quick won as a goaltender for the LA Kings. It'd be a nice price on that ticket. But I could see a path where if they win those games in that manner, that Carter Hart could wind up being the Conn Smythe. The issue is with Carter Hart is are the voters going to vote for him given his history and why he was not playing in the league for a season or two.
Do you think they would?
They might. Okay. They voted. I'm not sure I'm voting. I'm going to be covering the Cup final. We're human beings, so that might be impactful.
It could,
especially if it's close, Mitch. If it's close between him and somebody else produces, I think that might be that. It might tip the scales. I'm not saying it would, but I think that may factor in.
I don't want to forget about this. You also, in like the last minute here, you like a player prop for tonight, yeah?
I love Rasmus Dahlin's shot prop over 2.5 shots. Of all the 3 plays I have tonight, that's the one I like the most because you saw what he did in Game 6.
Yep.
I think he'll take it over again in Game 7. He's going to be very, very aggressive. I love Dahlin over 2.5 shots tonight in Buffalo.
Very good. Let's hope you're right. It's not a stink bomb like last night's NBA game. Jeez.
No, it won't. It'll be great.
You can follow Dennis on X at DennisTFP, fourthperiod.com, also SiriusXM NHL. He joined us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Great to talk to you again, my man. Thanks for the time. We appreciate that.
Oh, it's great being on FTM, fellas.
Thanks
for the time. Appreciate it.
Carter Hart, 75-1.
I know. He's right. Ooh. They have to win 3-2.
That's right.
Another sports book with a great location is shutting down. And you're going to want to fade this team after hearing what their coach had to say coming up next here on VSiN.